Hey everybody, I want to begin by thanking you. People said some positive things about these videos. I appreciate that. There was one person who suggested that I need to work on the lighting, which I've tried to do. The real problem, I'm afraid, is not the lighting. It's my face, and it's not. It's only downhill from here. All right, so social loafing. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that it's good to work in groups, right? Building a business involves working with other people, often in groups, often doing things not dramatically dissimilar from what you read about in the social loafing articles. So the purpose of covering this is not to argue that you should work alone, although of course there are going to be cases where you're better off working alone. But the purpose is to help you be smart in managing groups of people and to know what you can expect from people just by virtue of the fact that they're in a group and they're people and they're working together. And I'll say this too, which is, somebody could tell you, you could read in a textbook or something, that when people are working together, that their input should be identifiable. And that would probably make some sense, but there's a different depth of understanding that comes when you've read the research, and I hope that makes sense to you. It's not, understanding and reading the research produces a depth of understanding that just reading a summary doesn't. People's papers for this past week were quite good, and I think part of it is it's a concept that people are familiar with without necessarily having a name for it. Jeff Bezos, and this is I learned something in Jonathan's paper, which is Jeff Bezos has something he calls the 2 pizza rule, which is that if a group has more people than 2 pizzas can feed, then that group is probably not going to be efficient. So I want to come back to this idea of people having some experience with social loafing, but not necessarily having a name to go along with that. If you think about the phrase that we have in English, the idiom, come to terms with something. When you say that somebody's coming to terms with something, you're saying that they they understand it and they're prepared to deal with it. But we think about that phrase, come to terms. A term is a name, and I think it's not coincidental that what we're saying is when you've got a name for something, you're prepared to understand it and deal with it. And so I hope what we've done in covering social loafing is that you've come to terms with it, meaning that you can understand it and deal with it. So I think that's all I want to say about that. Transition to kind of where we're going next, which is, let me back up and say we've covered a couple of kind of historical landmark studies dealing with sunk costs and social loafing, and now we are. I remember I had a kind of a bratty student a couple of years ago who, after we covered social loafing, said, "Are we going to read anything from the current century?" And so the answer is yes. And as we transition to motivation, I'd like you to think about motivation 1 and motivation 2. Those should kind of be considered together. What we're going to cover in motivation 1 is this idea that money is imperfect as a means of getting the best out of people. The traditional thinking is if you want the best out of people, motivate them with money and throw money, and that's the incentive. And certainly there's some times when that works, but not always. And so the first motivation 1, which you'll be reading next, kind of describes some of the shortcomings of money as a motivator. Not necessarily as a motivator, but as a means of getting the most out of people's efforts. So there's that, and then motivation 2, we're going to move into kind of some other things that might motivate people and get them to achieve at a high level. I want to acknowledge too that we're there's a co-author for Motivation 1 on both papers named Dan Ariely. He's at the MIT Sloan School of Management and is one of the most insightful minds in the world of business that's out there. He's also on one of the papers we're going to read for Motivation 2, and we'll read at least one more paper from him this semester. I hope that's a name that you come to become acquainted with. He's a very thoughtful and insightful mind. I think that's. I want to say this, which is for Motivation 2. I know some of you like to read ahead. For Motivation 2, there's a paper by Adam Grant. Adam Grant actually wrote your book, Give and Take, called The Significance of Task Significance. This again is Motivation 2, Adam Grant, Significance of Task Significance. There are 3 studies in that paper. Read the first 2. The third one is probably not worth your time. Okay, well, I think that's it. So actually, one more thing, which is that I teach a summer class for the MBA program. It's also online. It's called Judgment and Decision Making, and it follows a similar format in that you do their weekly reading quizzes. One difference is that it's not on the dense kind of academic material that you're reading now. It's more along the lines of give and take, mostly trade books. So the reading there's still plenty of reading. It's just easier reading. I'm trying to maintain the grand tradition in academia of making summer classes suck a little less than they do during the semester. Okay, so if you're somebody who's watching this video, then you are definitely the kind of person I'd like in my judgment and decision making class this summer. It's BA 6100 is what it's called. So thank you, and I appreciate you watching.